You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Emerson Whitner, and this is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, October 28th, 2015. First of all, before diving into the review, I do want to wish a happy birthday to your favorite NXT recapper and mine, me. I actually turned 31 on the 29th, so it's probably when most of you will hear this. But before I turn 31, let's talk about NXT, shall we? The show kicked off with Emma versus a brand new diva in NXT, Shazza. This young lady, she reminded me of Alexa Bliss coming out because she had kind of the Alexa Bliss gear, or at least what Alexa Bliss used to wear, with the half crop top up top and then a skirt. She was very blonde, like a white blonde hair, plus she wasn't nearly as tan as anyone else you see on the show other than Sheamus. So when they would show her at a certain light, it came as a shock to your cornea because it was so bright to look at her. And I know this is a weird way to describe somebody, but you'd have to see her to know what I'm talking about. Shazza is also from Melbourne, so they pushed that she's the last person Emma wrestled before Emma came to NXT. Shazza, I don't know how good she is. She did this unique little thing here where they went for a drop down and she did a split when she went down, but she didn't get right back up, so Emma turned around and stared at her for a second. And when Shazza finally looked up, she got kicked in the face. The match was pretty much all Emma, and Emma eventually won the Battle of Australia with a bridging chin lock. They showed last week James Storm's promo that aired on WWE.com with Tom Phillips after his debut match. Storm was quite happy the fans chanted that he belonged here, and he said that if anyone doesn't like him being on NXT, well, sorry about their damn luck. We got a Finn Balor video package featuring interviews with a lot of the NXT fans who come to the shows each week, including Bayley's little fan, Izzy. They also used footage from the Finn Balor documentary they did back in June, specifically with Becky Lynch talking about how great a person he is. We then got the best NXT TV match in a long time. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable versus Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Despite being heels, and I don't know if they actually were supposed to turn face at some point, but Jordan and Gable are, last time I checked, were supposed to be heels, but they actually got a standing ovation coming out. The crowd loves them some Gable. Ciampa and Gable began, they did the spot where they did the Greco-Roman knuckle luck, and Ciampa forced Gable down. Gable bridged up, but he was unable to hold Ciampa up when he jumped on him. The fans do love Gargano, Ciampa, and Jordan as well, but Gable's like... I predict big things for Gable as long as, they don't get down on him because of his size. Not saying he's a small guy, but he's shorter than most people you'll see. The fans chanted... This was a match of chants. They chanted Johnny Wrestling, This is Wrestling. They chanted both Gable and Jordan's name to the tune of Kurt Angle's old WWE song. Despite technically being the heel team, Gable was the one they got beat on to get the heat. Jordan got the hot tag and ran wild in both men, including a beautiful T-bone suplex on Ciampa. Gargano had the match won with a slingshot DDT on Jordan, but Gable broke it up at the last second. And finally, Jordan and Gable won with their toss into the air into a bridging side suplex on Ciampa. Bayley was backstage, interviewed by the departing Devin Taylor about her feud with Alexa. Bayley is proud to be champion and be an inspiration to children, and it bothers her that bothers Alexa. Eva Marie is still in Paris, and she's threatening to come back soon. Nia Jax moved to 2-0, destroying Kaylee. They did acknowledge Nia being the cousin of The Rock. This match saw Kaylee get frequent flyer miles for the amount of time she spent in the air as Nia just threw her around the ring. Nia didn't use the jumping bear hug this time. Instead, she used a jumping over-the-shoulder backbreaker. I still think that'd be so much better than her actual finish, but it's not. Instead, the finish saw Kaylee go for a springboard what a maneuver off the ropes, but she got caught, dropped with a spine buster, and Nia won with a leg drop. During commercial, I just assumed they sent out a giant spatula to get Kaylee off the mat, because that girl got flattened. The rematch between Enzo, Amore, and Colin Cassidy versus Dash and Dawson never got started. It feels like you've heard me talk about this match before. It's because they just sports entertained last week. Enzo and Cass won last week, but got beaten down after the match. So here we are with the big rematch. Enzo and Cass were walking to the ring, and Enzo began doing his spiel when Dash and Dawson ran in from the side and attacked them. They threw Enzo off the ramp and then beat down Colin mercilessly. They threw him into the LED board where the ring apron is. And then they did a double team maneuver to Colin's leg. It looked like one of them kind of did a figure four while the other jumped off the top rope in almost a Pillmanizing action onto Colin's leg. They immediately sold it like Colin broke his leg, and I know Colin has some sort of a leg injury, so this will be the angle to get him out for a little while. After the match, a parade of after the angle, I guess. A parade of referees and trainers ran out to check on Colin. I should point out, not a single person went over to check on Enzo, who was in a heap on the floor on the side of the stage. Alexa challenged Bayley to a 6-person tag team match, with Alexa teaming with Blake and Murphy. She wished Bayley luck at finding 2 losers to team with her. Now again, I don't read spoilers, but it seems, at least in my mind, fairly obvious. It's the Vaudevillains. And Lord knows the last time I made a prediction, it was Eva Marie would be the person that came out to be in their corner at TakeOver. And before that, it was Carmella turning heel on Enzo and Cass. So needless to say, my predictions stink, but what can you do? Next week, it's Finn Balor versus Apollo Crews for the NXT Championship. That announcement led to part 2 of the Who is Apollo Crews feature. Just a really good 5-6 minute detailed video of Apollo and his struggles to get to WWE and here on NXT. And I know this goes without saying, but WWE puts together some amazing videos. And that led us to the main event of Tyler Breeze versus Samoa Joe. Can Tyler Breeze in his last match in developmental pull out the big victory, or will Joe send Tyler to Raw with the big loss? The match was set up 2 weeks ago when Joe eliminated Breeze during the Battle Royal, and Breeze, frustrated, pulled Joe out of the ring as well. They did show footage of Breeze's SmackDown debut. I think his best chance of success is if Vince recently watched Zoolander. But in all seriousness, good luck to Tyler. Breeze's strategy early was to tease locking up with Joe and then quickly roll outside, which annoyed Joe to the point that, of course, Joe followed him out the third time Breeze did it. And just as, of course, Joe got stomped on when they rolled back into the ring. Joe used the suicide dive, which never fails to look impressive when a nearly 300-pound man does it. Breeze used his rolling backstabber on Joe, but only got a 1 count. Shouldn't that move hurt Breeze when Joe rolls over and lands with all of his weight on top of Tyler's scrunched-up body like that? Anyway, Joe made his comeback, hitting all of his big moves. We saw the snap power slam and the corner uranagi, but Breeze slipped out of the muscle buster. He hit a supermodel kick, but only got a 2 count, and the finish saw Breeze use a roll-up for a 2 count, but when Joe kicked out, Breeze landed in perfect position for the choke, and Breeze had to tap out to the Kakina clutch. So Samoa Joe submits Tyler Breeze in your main event. The show ended with a Finn Balor promo regarding the title match next week. Balor put over Crews beating Joe, Breeze, and Baron Corbin all in the Battle Royal, but the one person he did not defeat was Finn Balor. One day, Cruz will be NXT champion, but Finn vowed it will not be next week. So that does it for this week. Next week, like I said, it's Finn versus Apollo. And I do want to thank you for listening. Hope you have a great week, a fun Halloween, and I'll see you again in 7 days.
You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.